In 1994, Jim Crockett's non-compete agreement with Ted Turner, who purchased World Championship Wrestling WCW from Crockett in November 1988, was up and he decided to start promoting with the NWA again. Crockett went to Tod Gordon and asked him to hold a tournament for the NWA's top prize, the NWA World Heavyweight Championship, in ECW's home area of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania on August 27, 1994. NWA President Dennis Coralluzzo alleged that Crockett and Gordon were going to try to monopolize the title akin to Crockett's sections in the 80s and stated Crockett did not have the NWA board's approval, which resulted in Coralluzzo personally overseeing the tournament. Gordon took offense at Coralluzzo for his power plays and began contemplating a plan to secede ECW from the NWA through a controversial and public manner that would attract attention to ECW and insult the NWA organization. Gordon planned to have Shane Douglas, who was scheduled to face Cold Scorpio in the tournament finals on August 30, 1994, throw down the NWA World Heavyweight Championship belt upon winning as an act of defiance. Tod Gordon and Paul Heyman originally planned the idea of throwing down the NWA World Heavyweight Championship belt. Heyman persuaded Douglas by noting that the negative would only be that NWA traditionalists would just see them as traitors to tradition. Adding to Douglas' decision was the animosity between Douglas and NWA President Dennis Coralluzzo, who at the time publicly criticized Douglas and told NWA-affiliated bookers not to book Douglas for shows. Coralluzzo believed that Douglas was a bad risk and had the tendency to no-show events. Douglas ultimately decided to go through with Gordon and Heyman's plan, inspired by his father's motto of doing right by the people that do right by you. After looking up and saying, "This is it tonight, Tad," Douglas threw down the NWA World Heavyweight Championship belt, stating that he did not want to be champion of a dead promotion that died 7 years ago. He then raised the Eastern Championship Wrestling title belt and declared it to be a World Heavyweight Championship, calling it the only real world title left in professional wrestling. When recalling this event years later, Paul Heyman stated the following in a 1998 chat. The National Wrestling Alliance was old school when old school wasn't hip anymore. We wanted to set our mark, we wanted to break away from the pack, we wanted to let the world know that we weren't just some independent promotion. Coralluzzo was interviewed after the event and declared that Douglas would be the world champion of the NWA whether he likes it or not, calling Douglas' actions a disgrace, and said he would move to have Douglas stripped of both the NWA World Heavyweight Championship and the Eastern Championship Wrestling Heavyweight Championship, calling him undeserving of both titles. Gordon made the following announcement on the next edition of NWA ECW programming. I listened with great interest as the representative of the NWA Board of Directors took it upon himself to inform you that they have the power to force NWA Eastern Championship Wrestling not to recognize the franchise, Shane Douglas, as a World Heavyweight Champion. Well, as of noon today, I have folded NWA Eastern Championship Wrestling. In its place will be ECW Extreme Championship Wrestling, and we recognize the franchise, Shane Douglas, as our World Heavyweight Champion. And we encourage any wrestler in the world today to come to the ECW to challenge for that belt. This is the ECW, Extreme Championship Wrestling, changing the face of professional wrestling. The promotion showcased many different styles of professional wrestling, including hardcore wrestling matches as well as lullaby and Japanese wrestling styles.